This is the video for the perfect square. The purpose of this to prepare you for the CIA test coming up on this Friday, I believe the 29th. I don't keep track on time on that one. Again, so this is the college way to find the perfect square, and I guarantee you this: you will see this again in Math 3. Very college friendly, yet may sound like a crazy thing. The perfect square, and for this one, the requirement is the perfect square formula. For the perfect square formula, basically this: if you have for every A and B, meaning that you can have A and B can be any number ranging from normal to decimal up to imaginary number, it still work. So now for every A and B, A plus B, all of that square will equal to A squared plus 2. And I emphasize the 2 between them because you will need to make sure there's a 2 between them before you work on this. Times AB plus B squared. The alternative case you will have will be A minus B, all of the square equal to A squared minus 2AB plus B squared. So let it sink a little bit and make sure it's on focus. Alright, so for now, let's do this particular example here. For example, if you have an equation like this, if my camera can focus on that. First of all, if you have an equation just like this, x squared plus 4x plus 1 equal to 0. Excuse me for that, guys. It's just camera being weird. If you have x squared plus 4x plus 1 equal to 0. Again, for my way, it's very short and directly. All you have to do is step 1. Find b over 2. Now this can be done by naming your a, b, and c coefficient from the beginning. But if you did not, the shortcut will be your b coefficient always be the middle one. Always the middle coefficients. So in this case, your b is 4. Therefore, b over 2 will equal to 4 over 2, which will give you 2. Step 2. In step 2, require you to rewrite your functions. The purpose of this is just let you see what you're missing, and therefore you can identify the A and B variable that we are looking for. So in this case, since we find out that 4 divide 2 equal 2, meaning that instead of 4, I can rewrite that as a 2 times 2 times x plus 1 equal to 0. And the next step is you will need to identify your a and b variable. So remember the first one square always be your a. In this case, this gotta be my a squared to be exact. But the purpose, just if you want to keep it simple, the first one always be a. Fortunate for us, we have 2 between them. So let's check mark there. This has to be my A. Gotta be, because it looks kind of identical with the first one. So therefore, this here has to be my B. Now guys, look at your perfect square formula. We have a plus we have 2 between them times a times b. So how can we make this equation right here look like a perfect square? Well, some of you may say, well, we're missing a b squared term right behind that. So step number 3 will be add b squared and subtract b squared. Meaning that x squared plus 2 between them times 2 times x. And since we find out our b is 2 squared. And you subtract it immediately. Plus 1 equal to 0. Now the idea behind add b squared and subtract b squared is like this. If I give you my pen and I take my pen back immediately, you should not have my pen. Same concept here. If I add 2 square and I take 2 square immediately, you should not have 2 square. That's the key concept in the entire math and pretty much in every situations. So from now, once you got this equation here, I want you to look at the first 3 term. The first 3 term right here. Does it look kind of like the perfect square? And wait for that. Focus on. Alright. So at first you say, well, we got a square. Not like a focus again. At first we got a square. We got 2. Okay. Then we got AB. These 2 right here. And then we got B square. Then we say, well, it looks just like a perfect square now. So based on that, we can say that it will be x plus 2 squared by the perfect square formula. And the last 2 term right here, you can type in your calculator, and hopefully it will say -3 equal to 0. And this is the complete answer if and only if your question asks you to complete the square. As you can see, it's very short and very direct, very college friendly, which saves us a lot of time. But the down part of this is you will need to remember this formula here. It's like a key. Without a key, you cannot unlock the door or do whatever you have to do. So now you may ask, well, how do you solve for x? Solve for x. Well, solve for x is not much a difference between my way, college way, and Miss Lorraine way at all. You all have to move your constant meaning you got x plus 2 square minus 3 equals 0. You have to move your constant by adding 3 on both sides, which will give you x plus 2 of that square equal to positive 3. Again, if I go too fast, feel free to pause the video and continue after you understand this thoroughly. Once you got this here, let's go to step number 2. And so step 2, you have to square root both sides. And the idea is if you square root of a square, you basically cancel the second power of that. So now with that in mind, let's square root that. Now square root of a square, that should give you just itself. Square root of 3, since square root of 3 can kind of give you a nasty number, therefore we just keep it. Then you move the other constant, by meaning moving the 2 by subtracting 2. That's going to be x equal to square root of 3 minus 2. Again, if you have any question, feel free to email me at huey.tran@cms.k12.nc.us, I believe. I may be wrong on the last 2 things. And that's it.